me tell you something. See, this is what we call classic anti-Semitism.
You think your narrative is made up of facts? Are you kidding?
If Rabbi Shmuley is upset with the atrocities currently being committed, he's right, by this al-Qaeda offshoot that now rules Syria. He should be criticizing governments like Israel and the U.S., which took credit for this former al-Qaeda leader taking power. But I got to say, Rabbi Shmuley, you don't speak for me. Accusing people like my friend Omar of anti-Semitism simply because he wants the freedom of his people, it saddens me to see what people like you have done to the Jewish tradition.
You can't seriously be saying that Rabbi Shmuley, one of the most high-profile Jews in the world, is a successor to the Nazis.
Is a Nazi.
I mean, that's a pretty despicable.
I am saying that.
That's a pretty despicable thing to say.
Welcome to the latest episode of How to Lose a Debate in 10 Seconds or Less, starring Rabbi Shmuley and his trusty sidekick, Sir Piers. In today's spectacle, Rabbi Shmuley, known for throwing out anti-Semitism, accusations like Oprah hands out free cars, found himself on the receiving end of ultimate insult, being called a Nazi. Even Piers had to clutch his pearls at that one. But let's be honest, when your debate strategy is gaslighting, dodging facts, and accusing everyone of Jew hatred instead of addressing the actual argument, what do you expect? Meanwhile, Piers played his usual role of referee turned hype man, shocked that people dared to push back. Buckle up, folks. This one's messier than Piers Morgan's exit from Good Morning Britain.
Debate the facts. Forget the evil me and debate the facts.
Unbelievable level of hypocrisy. You are demonstrating your hypocrisy right now by continually interrupting when you don't like what you're hearing. I'll set the insults if that's even possible with dealing with people like you. Now, Rabbi Shmuley actually fully understands that the reason why there's no electricity in Gaza is because Israel. Can you be quiet? Can you be quiet and let me finish what I have to say? Rabbi Shmuley knows extremely well that the reason why there is no electricity in Gaza is because Israel bombs the infrastructure in Gaza and then puts Gaza under siege and does not allow Palestinians to rebuild their own power plants. They've created a situation of dependence where Gaza cannot survive on its own economically. It has to depend on Israel, and that is by design because Israel wants to be able to shut off the electricity at any point. Rabbi Shmuley knows this, but he tries to play on the uninformed audiences. He takes them for fools and hopes that they won't be able to see through the idiocy that he's actually demonstrating right now.
So now I'm an idiot.
Anybody with a functioning brain will understand very well that the reason why Gaza is not free is because Israel prevents it from being free.
Google more personal insults. You can't deal with a single historical fact that I said, so you've called me an idiot, hypocrite, a liar. Let me tell you something. See, this is what we call classic anti-Semitism.
You think your narrative is made up of facts? Are you kidding me?
I quoted to you the Peel Commission, the UN, the Omar deal. You cannot respond to a single one. So what do you have to do?
I'm happy to respond on substance. Watch me
Deal
respond
with me
on
as a person and try to suppress your hatred for Jews. Thank you.
Yes, quiet down. Yeah, again, the smear of anti-Semitism. That's the second trick. Really, if people are taking shots, I mean, try to keep track of how much alcohol they're consuming at this point. So the reason why there has not been a Palestinian state, and by the way, if you're going to pull up Bill Clinton, that's fine. By all means, why don't you try pulling up Jimmy Carter, who's been very clear about the fact that the reason why there has not been a resolution to this conflict is because Israel insists on maintaining an illegal occupation of the Palestinian territories and denies Palestinians any freedom. And so you hear Shmuley here claiming that Israel allows Palestinians to be completely free and have full rights, but that is belied by every single major human rights organization in the entire world. And so Shmuley was basically saying that you have to believe him and Israeli propagandists when it comes to the issue of human rights, instead of believing our own eyes, instead of believing major human rights organizations, and actually documented facts of what is unfolding on the ground. And that is that Palestinians have no freedom, no dignity, no opportunity, all due to Israel squeezing them under a brutal occupation and looking for ways to get rid of them. That is at the core of the so-called conflict.
Okay, let me ask you, Rabbi Shmuley, a different question, which is that it has been reported the Trump envoy to the Middle East is in direct talks now with Hamas. Should the White House be directly negotiating with a prescribed terror group in this way? Well,
I want to know whether the official hostage negotiator, Adam Boehler, has gone rogue, or whether these are under orders of our elected president, who has the mandate of the people, having won the popular vote, the Electoral College vote. Because what Adam Boehler said yesterday, I think it was on CNN, was shocking. He not only went rogue and started speaking to Hamas when the president had tweeted 2 days earlier, giving Hamas a binary choice: release the hostages or face hell, and every one of your fighters will be killed. And he said that he would give Netanyahu everything that he needed. The president wrote this himself on Truth Social in order to annihilate every Hamas fighter, every terrorist dedicated to a second genocide, to a second Holocaust. Suddenly, Bowler comes along, goes behind the scenes. And by the way, Piers, may I say, he criticized my dear friend Ron Dermer, who was you probably know I was the rabbi at Oxford University for 11 years. Ron Dermer was my student president. I'm one of the people who inspired him to move to Israel. He's now chief negotiator for the hostages. He criticized Ron by name, which was very unfair. And then he said, Hamas aren't such bad people. They don't have horns. You know, it's like saying, Hitler was nice to his dog. I've heard that too. When you have a genocidal organization whose actual charter says that we are dedicated not just to killing Rabbi Shmuley and all the IDF soldiers and all the women they gang raped. I was in the killing fields of Gaza 10 days after the bodies were still there, the stench of death was still there. When he says that they don't have horns and that they're nice people, you give them a degree of legitimacy which is shocking. Imagine if people in Britain during the Second World War, knowing the Blitz, and then they found out about the extermination camps and what was done even to British prisoners of war, suddenly you heard that the Nazis aren't such bad people. In fact, I met with them and Himmler, we had tea, etc. That would be very offensive. And then he said, America is not a client state of Israel. I mean, come on. Does Adam Bowler not realize that he, as a Jewish American, is someone who Hamas also says in their charter they're going to kill? Let me quote the charter verbatim. The time will come when trees will call out and say, come, Muslim, there is a Jew hiding behind me, come and kill him. That includes Adam Bowler, includes his wife, includes his children. So when you say that these people are human, I'm sorry, there's no genocidal organization which is human. When Adam says to me, hey, they were elected in 2000, there was an election. Adam, are you freaking kidding me? You mean if Trump decides to abolish elections in 2028, you're going to be okay with it? If he says that he's going to go in 20 years to elections? You're making a mockery of democracy. And don't tell me it was a fair election. It was an election between the Palestinian Authority, Mahmoud Abbas, who hates Hamas, who hasn't visited Gaza in 20 years because he would be killed, probably even more than I would. They took the Palestinian Authority candidates and they threw them off rooftops. They killed them. And by the way, I haven't heard either of you say a single word. You said about Syria. Adam, you said that Israel stole the Golan Heights.
His name's Aaron, not Aaron.
Aaron, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. It was not intentional. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. And it's a beautiful biblical name. We'll connect on that. I hope you'll forgive me. Aaron. Adam's also a nice, beautiful name, but Aaron's a better name. Good biblical name. Moses' brother. You're a high priest. Did you really tell me that Israel stole the Golan Heights? Did you really want Assad to have it while he was gassing Arab children with mustard sarin gas, with poison gas? Do you want Al-Julani? Do you want Al-Julani to have it right now? Did you watch the videos of what Al-Julani did to the Alawites over the past week? Have any of you seen a single demonstration? They took Arab men and shot them in the frickin' head, and then learning from Hamas, posted it all on Instagram and on X, and you guys haven't said one word. You know why? Because you don't really care about Arab law.
All right, well, why don't
we
demonize
Jews?
Why don't we let him get a word in edgeways? I think Aaron has said something about this.
Syrian land because
let Aaron respond to that, because I think you have been saying things about it.
Yeah. Just a historical point. Israel stole the Golan Heights in 1967, long before Bashar al-Assad was in power. Second
His
of all,
father was.
if
His
Rabbi
father was
Shmuley
in
is
power.
upset,
Let him speak, please.
Okay. If Rabbi Shmuley is upset with the atrocities currently being committed, he's right, by this al-Qaeda offshoot that now rules Syria. He should be criticizing governments like Israel and the U.S., which took credit for this former al-Qaeda leader taking power. Netanyahu, after Assad was overthrown, gave a grand speech saying we deserve credit for this because it was our crushing of Syrian allies, Hezbollah, plus, by the way, the hundreds of Israeli airstrikes on Syria over the years and also arming insurgent groups that helped bring about Assad's fall. So if you're upset about that, Rabbi Shmuley, take it up with Netanyahu, who openly took credit for helping bring about the ouster of Assad. Now, I want to say something now. I'm not a religious person, so I can't claim to be a devout Jew. But I got to say, Rabbi Shmuley, you don't speak for me. Accusing people like my friend Omar of anti-Semitism simply because he wants the freedom of his people. It saddens me to see what people like you have done to the Jewish tradition. The suffering of my family, my great-grandparents perished in the Holocaust. They were murdered by the Nazis. And today, I have to tell you, I see you as the modern-day followers of the Nazis, supporting this mass murder campaign in Gaza, putting the people of Gaza in what even Israelis have called a concentration camp. It's the Israeli Jews of today, supported by American Jews, unfortunately, some, that are following in the footsteps of our oppressors. And I hope one day you can connect to your own humanity and the very best of your own tradition, which I believe in, to see just how horrible this modern state, this modern supremacist state, is not only for the Palestinians,
You
but
can't
the Jewish
seriously,
people as
Aaron,
well.
you can't seriously be saying that Rabbi Shmuley, one of the most high-profile Jews in the world, is a successor to the Nazis.
Is a Nazi.
I mean, that's a pretty
I am saying
despicable.
that.
That's a pretty despicable thing to say, isn't it?
He supports the mass murder of children in a concentration camp. What else am I supposed to?
May I
People
respond
being
to that?
put
May I
under a
respond to that?
I think you should
starvation
respond to that.
These
Yeah.
are Nazi
Okay,
tactics.
Aaron,
These are Nazi tactics.
Aaron, notice I have not once offended, used that hominem attacks against Omar or you. I have decided that I'm going to be
That's not true.
factual. No,
You called
excuse
him
me. You
anti-Semite.
won't interrupt me.
Calling people
Omar started
anti-Semites is apparently not an ad hominem.
excuse
Okay.
me. Omar started calling me a liar. He wouldn't deal with any facts. A hypocrite. He said I'm drunk on lies, et cetera, et cetera. That's what we call ad hominem, personal attacks. I've seen it whenever, and I debate everybody because I like Piers, and this is why I love this show. I'm also a free speech absolutist. The person you just called a Nazi spent the past year with his friend Ron Dermer, who was condemned by Adam Bowler because of our close relationship from my years as rabbi at Oxford. He was my student president. And Bobby Kennedy Jr., the new HHS Secretary of Health and Human Services, saving 200 Palestinian children who had cancer. Hamas would not let them go to an Israeli hospital because they would kill their families if Israeli hospitals treated them. Shaare Tzedek or Sheba Medical, all of whom agreed to take them. We had to take them to St. Jude's Hospital in Amman. And I helped get them out. And the reason why the Israeli military wanted the kids out but not their accompanying attendants is that so many of them were terrorists pretending to be an uncle, a grandfather, that's other terrorist. But I helped arrest. A few of them died. It was terrible. I think we saved 173. But I want to say something to you, Aaron, if I may, respectfully. I believe what you just said about me as a Jew, comparing me to a Nazi, will live in ignominy, respectfully, on your resume forever and ever and ever. I think you have now permanently undermined any and all semblance, iota, molecule, atom of credibility. Because if you can compare me, if you can compare me, father of 9 children, grandfather of 11, who has fought his entire life for Arab rights, who when I was the rabbi at Oxford got halal meat for all of us, including the grandson of the king of Saudi Arabia, who today is the British ambassador, the ambassador court of St. James, Halal ibn Bandar. The niece of the king of Jordan at the time. I have worked my entire life for Arab rights. And I will say something that I bet Omar, I'll challenge him to say it. Let me ask you, Omar, you're a Muslim, I assume. I will state unequivocally that this Nazi believes that every Arab life is absolutely equal to a Jewish life completely before God. I will also state that Islam is a great world religion that saved my people when they were kicked out of Catholic Spain by Ferdinand and Isabella of Aragon and Castile in 1492, and then King Manuel III to marry their daughter in about 1503. You know who took us in? The Muslims. That's why there are Jewish communities in Istanbul before Erdogan became an anti-Semite and invoked the Nazis. The Muslims saved us. We will never forget it. Islam, we only know about Aristotle and Plato, Socrates. The Catholic Church saw them as pagan philosophers and burned their books. It was Muslims who created the first year. So, Omar, will you make the same statement? Is Judaism as great a world religion and equal before God as Islam, yes or no?
That goes without saying. For the record, by the way, I'm agnostic. But yes, I have no trouble acknowledging the fact that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So we're making some progress here.
Well, let me ask Omar. Let me ask you. Hang on, Omar. I want to ask you a different question. Would you endorse what Aaron said, though, that Rabbi Shmuley is a successor to the Nazis?
I'm a Nazi.
Look, I'm personally, I mean, between Aaron and Rabbi Shmuley, they're both Jewish. I feel like there's more comfort in invoking that language. I personally don't really care.
Rabbi Shmuley, the self-appointed moral authority, just got a taste of his own medicine, and suddenly the rules of engagement don't seem so fair anymore. He spent the entire debate doing his usual dance, deflect, distort, and when all else fails, scream anti-Semitism like it's a get-out-of-debate free card. But the moment Aaron flipped the script and hit him with the Nazi comparison, suddenly it was too far, too outrageous, too offensive. Oh, now we have to draw the line? Convenient. Shmuley wants to lecture the world on humanity while excusing mass murder and occupation. And when he's finally called out for it, he clutches his pearls like he just wanted a surprise intervention. At the end of the day, this wasn't a debate. It was an exposure of how propaganda works. Rabbi Shmuley tried to gaslight, tried to smear, tried to make this about anything except the cold, hard reality of what Israel is doing to the Palestine. And yet, for all his theatrics, the truth still broke through. The question isn't whether Shmuley deserves to be called the Nazi. It's whether he'll ever stop weaponizing Jewish suffering to justify Palestinian suffering. My guess? Not a chance. So what do you guys think? Did Rabbi Shmuley just get a taste of his own medicine, or did Aaron take it too far? Is it hypocrisy to weaponize history while ignoring present-day atrocities? Or is it Shmuley just playing defense the only way he knows how? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's hear where you have to stand in this chaotic debate. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, y'alls, and I hope to catch you in the next one. See you in the comments.